Today, I am going to be answering your question how to fix game crashes in the First Descendant. A King's Creation here, teaching you how to play games more efficiently while having less time than others. So if this is you and you're returning, new, or just flat out like being on YouTube, this is your one-stop shop for answers to all your questions. Check out our community memberships and links in the descriptions for more details. Let's answer this question together. All right, so first things first, guys, let's go ahead and look at the First Descendant website and look at the customer service section right here, and then go to game requirements. Okay, this is what I'm gonna need everybody to do. If you're on not PlayStation, if you're on PC, okay, because the consoles, I'm not really having any crashing issues over on consoles, and I have people coming to me and say that they haven't had any crashes, or they had lagging, but it's not like they're crashing over and over. Even if you are crashing on console, I haven't, so I will tell you guys exactly what I would do on console to avoid the crashes, and then I will leave that towards the end. But for those who are crashing the most, which are currently PC users right now, I'm going to go ahead and define that. So we're on the website here, and as you guys can see, the supporting platforms are Steam, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, S, and Xbox One, right? So here are the minimum requirements, okay, for your CPU, for PC, guys, listen up. You need Windows 10, 64 gigabytes. We got an Intel i5, AMD FX 8350 with 8 gigabyte RAM, and GeForce GTX of 1050. Now, for me personally, guys, my PC is GTX GeForce 3050, so I have my third generation, so I can be able to do this no problem. Now, if we got DirectX of version 12 and a storage of 50 gigabytes or more, you should be fine. But this is what I really want to tell you. That's just the minimum requires, and then here's your recommended requirements. But here's the most important thing. They have included download latest driver to help everybody. So I would highly recommend, if you are on PC, to download all these drivers. If you have an Intel computer, I have an Intel Core i9, so I would need to download this. And I also want to make sure I have the latest version. I probably would just download all of these. I mean, it wouldn't harm, unless you got AMD, which is your graphics driver. I would probably just download this anyway. So what I'm going to do is showcase what I would do, and that would be to download everything first. So you want to make sure all your equipment is up to date. That will easily minimize your crashing. Okay, so let's go ahead and download everything when you do, and then we'll get into the game. Also, if you want to give your graphics card an extra boost, it will probably increase your computer's temperature, so keep in mind, play with it. And this also could cause additional crashing if you try to overclock your PC too much. So MSI burner or afterburner is a good use if you don't have an NVIDIA laptop. For those who have the NVIDIA laptop, you know that you have your NVIDIA Experience app. Once you go to your NVIDIA Experience app, I'm going to have to screenshot it because we don't have a way to record it, I guess. So what I'm going to do is screenshot it, and I will put the screen shots up on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But once you go ahead and get to your page, then you want to go ahead and go to systems. Okay, it will show you your overview, your performance, and your displays, as well as your video. It would also show you what your monitor you're using is, and how to like customize it to like make it the best way of performing for your PC and frame rates, right? So you want to go ahead and go to performance. Once you get to the performance tab, you want to go ahead and click automatic tuning if you don't want to use the MSI afterburner. Okay, what the automatic tuning does is boosts your GPU tuning, so it allows you to basically overclock your graphics card as well. Now, I highly recommend, once you turn it on, I would turn it back off before you play the First Descendant, because if you have it on, it will like cause a stutter and sometimes crash, because it's always trying to make sure that you have the best GPU settings for the game. And right now the game isn't fully optimized well enough, because it still drops frames every now and then during cutscenes and certain events. But back when the game first released, it was actually that bad. where it was dropping dramatically. So they fixed it a little bit, and it's still working on fully optimizing it for PC. So I just wanted to get you guys an extra boost in your GPU settings and your graphic settings before we dive into the game settings. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the game settings now. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the graphics for the game. Okay, so once you go to your settings, this is on the loading screen once you first get into the game. I want to go ahead and talk about the auto setting. Okay, so you want to go ahead and start off with the auto setting. Now, like I said, I have the GeForce RTX 3050. So this is my auto settings. It's all on low. But what's good about this is the fact that I want to go ahead and use NVIDIA because it is an NVIDIA laptop. You use whatever you are using, like say for example you're using like a Ryzen 7 or like Ryzen 6 AMD, then obviously you want to go ahead and select AMD for your graphics. If you're just using a regular Windows laptop, then I'm pretty sure your graphics card will be Intel. So I'm using NVIDIA for mine. You can use whatever you prefer, whatever your laptop is. Now, DLSS for NVIDIA is pretty good. I would highly recommend putting that on ultra performance. This will create smooth balancing for your NVIDIA, and like it's like an AI that renders high resolution images with fewer pixels. So basically it boosts your frame rate even though you're on low settings, which is good for me personally because I like my graphics to be crisp. Now VSync is off. You want to go ahead and put reflex low latency on, and then I have maximum frame rate as unlimited. I don't want to do a fixed frame rate because sometimes, like I said before in the beginning of the video, the frame rate drops in the game, so every now and then. So you want to just go ahead and have it unlimited and just let it bounce around freely and adjust itself accordingly. Now, there are certain features I would say that give off more CPU usage than others, and I will break those down. But as you can see, these are my auto settings, and I would go ahead and keep them the same way they are if I want to avoid any crashes. Also, another thing, like for example, if you're a creator or YouTuber watching this or make any videos related to this, your recording device also will cause the game to crash every now and then due to the fact that you're recording as you're playing, so you're using as much CPU on your laptop or PC as much as possible. So keep in mind that will also create crashes. So if you don't want to crash at all, or just don't want to have low lags or any lag at all, then you want to just go ahead and play freely without recording, or do like a replay, an instant replay on like a device that's not like overpowering. OBS is kind of like overpowering a little bit, but if you have like NVIDIA Experience also does replays for 10 minutes. So you can just have that on in the background and then just press replay when you're ready. Now, those are just things that would cause your crashes, so I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. Now, visibility is one of them. If you want higher visibility of more structures in the distance, then this will cause a lot of CPU increase, so I highly recommend leaving this low. This one as well, it doesn't really contribute as much as visibility, but it does increase your CPU slightly, so I wouldn't personally leave this at low. Now, what I highly recommend if you want to have better like visuals, textures, you can go ahead and put this one up to medium. It does increase your CPU slightly, but if you just want additional smoother look and crispier look on your objectives and textures in your path, then you want to go ahead and put that up to medium. Now, effect is huge. I highly recommend putting that up to high or medium, personally, due to the fact that, for example, if you're running Glay, she has this little like blood stream that like comes off her back, and if you have an ultimate character, they usually have like gold effects around them when they're doing their abilities. So if you want to be able to see that, I highly recommend increasing your effects to either medium or high. Just depends. Play with that around, like medium or high will be your best bet. Vegetation, you can leave that on low. Personally, it does increase your CPU because all the little like grass, that's moving creates frames in your frame rate. So you want to go ahead and leave that on low. Okay. Now the shader, this is for your characters, like make it a little bit crispier, and then background and all that stuff. You want to have a good amount of crispiness when it comes to looking at your character. So I want to highly recommend putting this up to medium and calling that a day. Don't go any higher than medium, because if you go any higher than medium, it's going to increase your CPU. And what is the goal of this video is to not crash. So this is what you should do if you want to avoid any crashes. Just play with these settings particularly and change it from medium to low. If you can't go any higher than medium, keep it on low, because that means you're using your maximum amount of CPU. And then when you go against content that's really fast and requires a lot of pressure on your laptop, then you want to go ahead and just keep it all on low. Now physics, you can change that from high to ultimate or ultra, but personally I haven't seen any difference between high and ultra, so I kind of personally keep it on high, but that's up to you. Now objects, you want to keep this on low or medium. Like I said, play with low or medium, because this one also affects your CPU, not as much, but enough for it to cause a crash, right? So that is what we have here for our graphics. Now for our display. Now for the display, depends on if you're on a monitor, if you're on a laptop, if you're on a PC, desktop, whatever the case may be. I highly recommend keeping it borderless. That way you can move around, do other things while you're playing the game. Full screen causes it to completely use a lot of frames rate, because it's just going to fill the entire screen of whatever you're playing on. So I highly recommend using borderless window mode and keeping HDR off. Now this is where I want to tell anybody who was on console, this is where it is at towards the end of the video. I want to let you guys know that turn off HDR. Okay, HDR is good, you know, and it increases your quality of the games, but if you want to make sure you don't crash, HDR also increases your CPU, or aka your graphics card on your consoles and also on your PC. So if you want to avoid that, just go ahead and turn off HDR. It's not that big of a difference with the quality. Okay, so just turn off HDR and then you have nothing to worry about, and keep your field of view towards 90. Don't increase your field of view all the way up, because the more objects in your screen, the more frames you have to deal with and the dropping of that. So I highly recommend just keeping your HDR off and your field of view to 90. You can keep your sharpness up, it doesn't really matter, that doesn't make a difference, but that's what it is. Will help you guys. I hope this helps decrease your crashes or completely remove your crashes on both console and PC. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.